football story of University of Washington coach Kalen DeBoer. When seven-time national champion Nick Saban announced his retirement from Alabama, everyone was shocked. Why would he leave when his team was still killing it in college football? 2 yards away from playing in the 2024 national championship game. Straight away, Alabama did one of the most shocking things you'll ever see and hired the best coach that you may have never heard of. They hired Kalen DeBoer, formerly of the University of Washington Huskies, as the new head coach. Now, despite coming in with winning experience at every level, having an impressive 104-12 record, DeBoer has his work cut out for him already. He has a big roster to reconstruct, and filling the GOAT's big shoes is not gonna be easy. Today we'll be looking at one of the best coaches in college football right now and what his new appointment means for him in Alabama. DeBoer was a college wide receiver and baseball player for Sioux Falls. Between 1993 and 1996, he played as a wide receiver, setting records with receptions 234, receiving yards 3,400, and touchdown catches 33. As a baseball player, he hit .520 with 10 home runs and 34 RBIs with Sioux Falls in 1997. DeBoer's coaching career has been a really successful one, starting out at Sioux Falls, where he claimed 3 NAIA awards for Coach of the Year in 2006, 2008, and 2009. He only recorded 3 losses as head coach of Sioux Falls. 2 of these losses were to Mike Van Diest's national title-winning Carroll Fighting Saints in 2005 and 2007. He also finished with 3 NAIA national championships in his 4 years as head coach. By 2010, DeBoer was hired as the offensive coordinator at Southern Illinois for the next 3 years before taking up a similar role at Eastern Michigan University between 2014 and 2016. But his offensive play became well known when he was offensive coordinator for Fresno State. At Fresno State, DeBoer helped turn around a team that finished that previous season with a poor 2-9 record to a team with a 10-4 record. Fresno also claimed the Hawaii Bowl, their first in 6 years. However, he had a disappointing next year with the Indian Hoosiers and left at the end of the season. DeBoer's first Division I head coach role came at Fresno State before he joined the University of Washington in 2021. At Fresno, he created an explosive and highly offensive team that posted a 9-3 record, including a famous win over number 13 ranked UCLA at the Rose Bowl Stadium, which was the second highest win against a ranked opponent in Fresno history. His offensive numbers were also very impressive. They led the Mountains West in yards per play with 6.34 yards and in yards per game with 463.6 yards. They finished second in the division in scoring with 33.6 points per game. It was a truly remarkable offensive performance that season for Fresno. In the offseason, DeBoer was brought in to revitalize the University of Washington Huskies, which was a sort of a sleeping giant at the time. They had been a college football powerhouse over the years with 18 conference championships, 7 Rose Bowls, and 2 national championships. But their last championship goes way back to 1991, and recently they had become a pretty average team. Washington was also coming off a very disappointing 4-8 season, so things felt bleak for Huskies Nation until a lesser-known name came in with his pass-happy offense to put Washington back on the map. A team that traditionally had won with defense and the running game. His first season at Washington ended with a 10-2 record in the regular season. This included victories over ranked teams Michigan State, Oregon State and in-state rivals Washington State in the Apple Cup, who had ended UW's Apple Cup winning streak the year prior. This season, they even had a 7-game winning streak that extended to a 27-20 win over Texas Longhorns in the Alamo Bowl. He won the Pac-12 Coach of the Year at the end of the season, and defensive star Braylon Trice was named the defensive MVP of the 2022 Alamo Bowl. Going into the next season, DeBoer recruited quarterback Michael Penix from the Indiana Hoosiers, who he had coached back when he was offensive coordinator. Now he basically had his team set with quarterback Michael Penix, wide receivers Rom Odunze and Jalek McMillan, and defensive star Braylon Trice go after the national championship. His second season was even better, finishing the regular season with a 12-0 record. This was a monster season where his team went on a 14-game winning streak, which included a 34-31 victory over Oregon in the Pac-12 championship, winning the Pac-12 Coach of the Year once again. Washington also defeated the Texas Longhorns in the Sugar Bowl, although he eventually lost the national championship to Michigan 34-13. Now, just a few days after that championship loss, DeBoer has been chosen to fill in some big shoes in Alabama. Coming off the back of an impressive season where he won the Coach of the Year award from multiple sources, DeBoer is probably the best man for the Alabama job at the moment. But just as Saban's exit was shocking at Alabama, so was DeBoer's back in Washington. In a leaked audio message of his last meeting with Washington players, he expressed how he didn't expect them to understand his decision straight away.
And I hope you guys can just understand that someday. I don't expect you to understand right now, and if you do, I appreciate it.
The entire Washington team and fans were probably not expecting his exit, especially if you consider that this guy just led them this close to winning the national championship. But of course, DeBoer saw a bigger opportunity and he seems to be ready to take the challenge. In his opening press conference as Alabama head coach, DeBoer introduced himself as the Alabama Crimson Tide head coach. He spoke about his offensive strategy, which, as he said, revolves around the skill set a player has and how he, as a coach, is able to maximize it in offense. And rightly so. DeBoer is one coach that's been known for his innovative and explosive offense, which ranked second in the year in scoring and third in total offense in 2023. Whether he could bring that level of offense to Alabama is another question. He already has his work cut out for him, and one aspect that is likely to cause him headaches is recruiting. Due to the way and timing of Nick Saban's exit, Alabama is not fully prepared for a transition into a new coaching era. And to add to that, recruiting is particularly hard in the SEC. But if he's to succeed at Alabama, he would need the best hands working with him. And of course, DeBoer already knows that. He even cited the importance of good recruitment to his team. For both players and coaching staff, he would need to get his recruitments right to set his team up for the new season. Although there's no concrete information on recruitments right now, there are rumors that his new coaching setup at Alabama would include some of the people he has worked with in Washington. Of course, you're thinking, why not just hire the best hands? Well, it's way easier for a coach like DeBoer to work with people that already know his philosophy and how he'd like to train his players. However, getting the best coaching staff is no guarantee of a successful time. He's going to need them to work well with the players to achieve something great. If you're wondering why Alabama settled for DeBoer, well, the answer is evident. They wanted a proven winner that would be able to continue Saban's legacy. This makes DeBoer an ideal candidate since he has won in all three of his previous clubs, and with impressive records too. And if you're wondering how he beat the competition to it, well, two of the other guys mentioned prominently around the Alabama job, Steve Sarkisian and Dan Lanning, were 0-5 against DeBoer in the last 2 years, which makes him a better choice than both of them. Of course, it isn't going to be all roses for DeBoer. He has a lot of work on his hands, the biggest of which is roster retention, and it might prove difficult since many Alabama players are going to be making it to the portal following Saban's exit. Originally, players had until January 2nd to enter their name in the transfer portal if they wanted to move, but since Alabama got a new coach, its players have an additional 30 days to enter their names in the portal if they want to switch programs. Straight away, you can see how much of a challenge this is going to be for DeBoer. Having to coach a new set of players may be difficult, but having to coach a team who haven't players together will be even harder. So it's important to see how much of the roster he can retain. He's going to have to do a good job of convincing many players to stay, and on top of that, Alabama is a program that fans generally expect a lot from given their history. He's also going to have to deal with a constant comparison to Saban, especially if the team is going through a rough patch. Most people might go, that's not how Saban would have handled it, which is not something any coach would like to hear. DeBoer would have to make his mark on the team straight away to kill such comparisons. He's gotta make people know that this is his team now and not Saban's, but he has to be careful while doing that, cause if he changes too many things and the team starts performing not so well, fans are gonna turn on him. But he could just as easily bring the fans to his side, and that's possible if he manages to keep most of the elite players on the roster. This includes 5-star quarterback Julian Sain, who was the #1 quarterback for Alabama. He's young and could be the quarterback that DeBoer builds his team around for the next few years. He could be the key to a successful career at Alabama for DeBoer. Despite the challenges already presented to DeBoer, he has one thing in his favor, and that's that this team just won a SEC championship last year and made the college football playoffs, so he just needs to focus on keeping most of the roster. Now, whether he can succeed with these players is a different thing, but if he can get them to play his intensive attack style, they're gonna be killing it in the SEC. So, what do you think about DeBoer's appointment? Do you think he will succeed at Alabama? Or do you think he's gonna be unable to fit in Saban's shoes? Let us know in the comment section below.